All right, let's also now get in a word from some of the top legal luminaries in the country to get a sense of how, like, certain people have been speaking up. Kapil Sibal's statements were contemptuous. I want to go across to senior advocate in the Supreme Court, former additional Solicitor General, Mr. Atmaram Nadkarni. Sir, I thank you for being with us on the show today, because today it's extremely serious when anyone and everyone starts to state things about the judiciary, and this time it's shocking that it's a senior advocate who's been practicing in the Supreme Court. Kapil Sibal says he's lost all hope in the Supreme Court. First, how do you look at these contemptuous words, sir?
Well, Rhythm, at the outset, I must tell you that everybody has a right to criticize the judgment of the Supreme Court or any other court for that matter. But then when you use certain words, like lost complete faith in Supreme Court, or I have to hang my head in shame because of the Supreme Court judgments, those are really strong words and they are uncalled for, because with that you paint the whole institution. See, don't forget, the country as such has tremendous faith in the judiciary, and especially in the High Court and Supreme Courts, which are constitutional courts. And look at the mounting areas in the court. There are lakhs and lakhs of cases pending. That's because the people have faith in the Supreme Court. And in Supreme Court, people get relief day in and day out. It may be that the Supreme Court has dismissed certain matters. It may be that the judgment is a wrong judgment. Doesn't matter. You have it as an individual, you have a right to criticize the judgment. But you cannot paint the whole institution with one brush, saying that I've lost the hope in Supreme Court, etc. And especially Mr. Kapil Sibal is a very well-respected lawyer. He's a senior advocate. He has been the additional Solicitor General. He has been the law minister of the country. So someone like him of his stature says it is something which is a matter of great concern. But at the same time, what he has said is not about one judgment as such, but then he speaks about the institution as such. To that, personally speaking, I feel it is completely out of context and it's uncalled for. And it's a statement which requires to be approbated in the strongest terms, because you can't paint the whole institution.
Yes. And I think that is what he has actually done here, sir. You have been a part of the Supreme Court. You've been a law officer in the Supreme Court. You know the decorum that has to be maintained in the highest corridors of the top court of this country. What shocks me is he makes these statements in two cases when he was the petitioner's lawyers in both the cases. So it's obvious that these words come from a place of prejudice, and keeping in mind that there are several other cases I've seen Mr. Sibal make such statements, whether it was the Ayodhya case in December, when I remember there was a lot of pressure being put on the judiciary and the judges who were hearing the case to postpone the hearing after the elections. This has now become a trend, and I want to go across to the larger picture here, a trend where we see several advocates coming across with certain so-called eminent retired people and coming out and making such statements. First, sir, why this trend? Second, how do we get a hold of such people?
It's unfortunate. If you go to the social media, the way they make comments on judges or whatever oral observations have been made in certain cases, etc., it's most unfortunate. And it's like, people having they feel they have a license to paint the whole, the institution as such. This is very unfortunate, because, this institution, Supreme Court of India, has been having the last word insofar as, and it's the guardian of fundamental rights and the civil liberties of the citizenry of this country. So one should not make such statements. Now, I do not know in what way the media can be controlled, etc. Basically, if you ask me, it's by dictate of your own conscience. There can't be a law. It can't be. The contempt is a matter which is not. The Supreme Court has firmer rootings, actually, because the Supreme Court has a great credibility. And the Supreme Court, it may be that you have something to say about one judgment or two judgments. You criticize those judgments, criticize on a point of law, say that they are wrong judgments, file a review, file a curative petition. All that is open to you. But you can't paint it all over the country. That statement has gone viral. And especially coming from a person with the stature, because Mr. Sibal holds a good stature in this institution.
Mr. Nadkarni, my last question to you. You said it's someone who's been practicing in the Supreme Court. He's also been a Congress legal, and now he's jumped to another political party. While I don't want to stoop to any levels of passing any statements, don't you think there is a way forward for such contemptuous words, especially when they're only trying to either intimidate the judiciary or besmirch the reputation of the judiciary?
See, Rhythm, in the first place, when someone appears in a matter, then it's not very appropriate to speak about the matter in the public media. Maybe that you are a person from the public realm, that you are a political person, etc. But that does not give a license to anybody to paint the whole institution as such. And I think the Bar Association, Bar Council, Supreme Court, and all must come together and to set down certain limits where it can, to what extent this Lakshman Rekha can be transgressed. But all said and done, I mean, with great respect to my friend Mr. Kapil Sibal, his statement is completely uncalled for.
Absolutely. I thank you, Mr. Nadkarni, for being a part of an understanding to tell our viewers what really he said and how it needs to be looked on. I completely agree. There needs to be limits and a Lakshman Rekha that needs to be set, and this is something we shall go to. Viewers, Mr. Nadkarni has spoken out about it. We've also seen senior advocate in the Supreme Court, Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani, an MP in the Rajya Sabha, speak about it. Let's take